tonight, what we're going to discuss is pretty much just some property, including automobiles, garages, different things, and just some different tips that we can give, and hopefully will help us in remembering the kinds of things we need to do to try to keep that property from becoming a target to the bad guy. So basically, I think the most important thing that we have to remember when we talk about property, it's always crimes of opportunity. One of the statistics about burglars, and this comes from interviews after they've been caught from guys and gals who have prison sentences, and they do these interviews with them, and they talk about what made this your choice. How were you able to succeed? What kind of money were you making? What kind of loot were you getting when you would break into homes? And I think one of the most interesting things that should be made even more aware to the general public, I'd say every 3 months or so, is the fact that they talk about how complacent we all get. How we've lived in the same home for 25 years, and we have the same routine when we leave to go to work. We have the same routine when we come home. So they may or may not watch, or we may or may not get their eye. But if they have success somewhere near, we're going to keep going back to that area. Eventually they'll find your home. This is their words. So one of the things that's fascinating to me, and maybe that's not the correct word, one burglar talked about how he waited for 3 weeks because he knew that this house had good loot. And when he was asked, how did you know that the home had good loot? He followed the homeowner and 2 of her girlfriends to a place that they went to at least once a week and just listened to their conversation. He did this on 2 occasions. And just the way they talked and what they were doing, he knew that they were well armed. So with taking that little bit of information, the be aware, alert, who's around you, what you're doing, and I think there's none of us in this room who wouldn't say that when we're out and about and we're not looking to be victimized, our guards are down. The more people we're with, the safer we feel. So that was kind of how he went after this particular group. There were 2 or 3 of them each week, and he was no threat to them, so he just kind of followed them twice and listened to their conversations. And they talked about the same things we talk about every day. Our children, what colleges they're in, where they, what types of jobs, and internships was what he brought up. In his mind, this was African American, he said in his mind, when he thought of internships, that's what a lot of wealthy white people and their kids do. This was his mentality. So therefore, that was part of the reason he thought there was good loot. So with all of that in mind, it's little things like that would come back to the criminals are not as dumb as some. Now they may be amateur, I think is a better word than others, but they are working just as hard to get at us and what we have as we are to try to prevent them from getting it. So with that in mind, some of the things when we talk about property and things that we can do that's a pain, and as a 20-plus year police officer, I've only done this twice. I have recorded, I got this big screen. My wife won this little bingo contest thing, and it ended up being $2 grand what was in the pot. So we took this $2 grand along with another $500 or $600 and bought our first big screen television. Come on, big screen, football, Cardinals, all that. So I did the things that I had been telling people to do that I had never done. We took a photograph, we copied the serial numbers and did all that, and just threw it in the safe deposit box. Been there ever since, probably 8, 10 years or so now. Those are some of the little things that assist when the police come there. Now, if they come to your home at 8 at night, yeah, they may not have it, but the very next morning, you can get the photograph, you get the serial numbers, they can immediately send these things out to pawn shops and different places like that. So when we talk about property, we're talking about photographing, taking out those serial numbers and put them in places that could be of use. Now, how difficult is that? The reality is pretty difficult that we're not going to think about it unless you've been a victim. It only takes one time and then you'll do all this. And folks that have been victimized, they record this. So this information here, from taking the photographs, and we're talking about high-end electronics, things of value, obviously. Things that this particular burglar I was speaking about, where he kicks in the back window or he kicks in the door. This has been going on for about a month and a half now that we've compiled a lot of the information. Kicking in more than half the places the alarm systems are going off. They have alarms. He's in there, finds his loot or finds something valuable, and he's out of there. Okay? So, in doing this, these are some of the things that will help us. The information sharing, I'm going to skip down to that. Who knows? Who are you telling? Are we talking about it at Herbie's over a nice steak or a nice meal with other tables around us? Or are we telling our next door neighbor, someone we've known for 25 years? So the information sharing, are we talking on the phone while we have the tree trimmers from the storm who are right there waiting to get their invoice or whatever, and we're just going on and on and on? These are the things and the kinds of situations where before you know it, you're a victim. Now, I'm not saying that that's everyone. I'm saying these are things that we need to put in the forefront of being careful. Yeah, sure, the guy's been working for you for 3 months, maybe even 10 years. All of a sudden, he's got a new guy that you've never seen, and the next thing you know, your house is burglarized. So keeping that information in mind, who are we telling about our private stuff? And where are we talking about? So those are very important things. The safe deposit box, home safes. At one point, if most home safes now are small. So at some point, the bad guy got smart. He just takes the whole safe instead of trying to crack it like we did in the old days, or having the really big metal heavy ones. Now they'll just take the whole safe. So what's recommended is, sure, you can have those smaller safes, but let's get them so they're bolted down somewhere so it's more difficult for them to just take it off. They're not going to take the time as they used to crack codes and do all those things. So that's just not what's going on anymore. They're going to take your whole safe. So if you're going to have a safe in the home, and you can also, that's a great decoy as well. So let's put it in a place where they can easily find it, in the closet behind a long coat or something. Once they see it, because of time, they're just as scared of being caught as we are of them coming to us, most of them. So we can also use that as a decoy. Okay? So that's, any questions on that? When I talk about important documents, it ventures right over into identity theft.